Hello everyone, my name is JJ. I hope you're having an awesome day so far. So every country in the world is really great at something. America is really great at making movies, Japan is really great at making video games, Canada is really great at being self-righteous, and China is great at counterfeiting. In fact, they are so good at it, one UN study estimated that as much as 70% of all of the world's counterfeit goods were produced in China. Now, we are all familiar with your run-of-the-mill counterfeit goods, your counterfeit sneakers and handbags and that sort of thing, but you don't become the world's greatest counterfeiting superpower by merely satisfying yourself with those sorts of small potatoes. No, you go for the real big fish, no matter how impractical or audacious. So here are 5 of the craziest counterfeit things you can find in China. Number 1, counterfeit cars. So say you are some Chinese guy who wants to have a nice car but also doesn't want to pay for one. Well, no need to worry because the Chinese marketplace offers a vast buffet of counterfeit cars. These are cars that present themselves as unique Chinese models but are really just copycats of popular foreign models down to the smallest detail. In China, you can buy a counterfeit Rolls-Royce or Mercedes-Benz or Porsche or Range Rover or even something crappier, like a counterfeit Chevrolet Spark. The Chinese ripoffs are much cheaper than the real thing, only slightly uglier and just as functional, so long as you don't mind your brake linings being made out of cardboard. Number 2 is counterfeit stores. So you might remember a few years ago there was this big viral story about a counterfeit Apple store in Beijing. This was a place, or rather a series of places, where you could buy Apple products in a space that looked exactly like a real Apple store, but was actually a completely unauthorized knockoff. They had the same iconic wooden tables, the same big glowing Apple lamp thing, even the same blue t-shirts for all the employees. But it was all fake, fake, fake. Well, this was nothing particularly unique to Apple. There are counterfeit Chinese versions of all sorts of popular chains. You can go buy your furniture at the counterfeit IKEA, your plushies at the counterfeit Disney store, your soap at the counterfeit Body Shop, and do your banking at the counterfeit Goldman Sachs. You can even buy your fake Yeezys at the fake Yeezy store, instead of on eBay, like God intended. Number 3 is counterfeit books. Obviously, the easiest way to make a counterfeit book is to just make an unauthorized printing with the same text and cover and all the rest of it. But some of these Chinese counterfeiters, they get much more creative. They have this trend in China where a Chinese author just writes several hundred pages of random nonsense or takes a manuscript of a pre-existing book and then slaps on a cover of something more interesting or famous. For example, there are a lot of fake Harry Potter books in China. One very infamous one was just the text of The Hobbit, but with all the character names taken out and Harry Potter character names swapped in. This obviously made the story make no sense, but hey, it was written to sell, not win a friggin' Caldecott medal. A lot of other famous book series have been the victims of similar sorts of scams as well, and a few years ago they even had a problem with people selling fake biographies of Steve Jobs, which I assume were made by just taking Return of the King and swapping out Gandalf for Wozniak. Number 4 is counterfeit food. Now here I'm not talking about China's beloved counterfeit food brands like Pizza Hut or MFC or King Burger, but rather counterfeit versions of food in their most basic forms. Counterfeit eggs, for example, which are made out of this kind of jello slime and wax for the shell. Or how about counterfeit meat? That's when you take the flesh of some cheap animal like a rat or a weasel and pump it full of chemicals and dye until it looks like some higher quality product like pork or beef or chicken or lamb. Check this out. This is an official guide from the Chinese government on how to tell real mutton from counterfeit mutton made of rat meat. Can you tell which is the real one? Sometimes it gets even crazier, like honey made of water, buns made of cardboard, or nuts made of cement. Fake food is becoming an increasingly big scandal in China, and it is one of the reasons why you don't often see imported Chinese food for sale in the West. For example, here in Canada, there have been a lot of health advisories and trade limitations over the years on the import of Chinese eggs and dairy and honey. We do expect a certain level of quality for what goes into our McGriddles, after all. Number 5 is counterfeit cartoons. Now, I will admit that this was the one that inspired me to make this entire video just because I found this so incredibly offensive. Maybe because I care more about cartoons than I do about cars or food. So I'm a big fan of the show The Amazing World of Gumball, which, if you don't know, is this kind of sitcom-y show about a cat boy and his family. The gimmick of this show is that while Gumball and his family are all drawn in this sort of flat style, everyone else in their universe is drawn in a different style, and it's kind of this collage effect where nothing matches. Well, here is a Chinese Chinese cartoon called Miracle Star. It is a sitcom-y show about a goat boy and his family, and it is the exact same show. I mean, the settings are the same, the characters are the same, he even has a fish brother. Or how about the Chinese show Legend of Lucky Pie, about a plucky boy and his shape-shifting animal friend? Does this remind you of anything? Like, I don't know, Adventure Time? I guess this just has to be a cultural difference or something, but it is really very difficult for me to wrap my brain around putting this much effort into just creating a worse version of someone else's idea. But anyway, that's some crazy counterfeit Chinese stuff for you. I could have gone on to some of the even weirder ones, like their counterfeit musicals.
来电了，我来自国家电网，我是一名快乐的电力工人，认识你很快乐。来电了。
But maybe another time. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you've ever come across any really weird counterfeit things, either from China or anywhere else. Hank, I'll see you tomorrow.
We so fortunate we got this far.